My medieval Minecraft city is starting to take shape. In the last episode, I added 14 houses and shops. My goal for this capital city, and for my whole world, is to make structures that tell a story. Today, I want to continue the story by completing another feature build. A grand library worthy of a capital city. By creating a place for culture and knowledge, I plan to elevate the city from more than just a collection of houses. I think the skyline will really be improved by another interesting, tall, and special building that has a little bit of a castle feel to it. However, it's not just about aesthetics. It's also about bringing the city to life and telling that story. There's a big, wide open space right behind a lot of the buildings I put together last time that's kind of the middle of town. You can sort of see how much room there is in the middle. And I knew that I wanted a big building there. I just hadn't decided until now. With a grand library, the only thing I've decided for sure is that I want a dome on the back of the library. Circles, of course, can be a little tricky, so I pull up Google and I just search Minecraft circle generator and put in the dimensions until I have a little bit of a grid. With the grid up on a screen next to me, I just take some basic blocks and I start following the palette, right? Block by block, I just follow the grid until I have the circle that I'm looking for. It's really the easiest way to do any kind of circle. After getting the circle put together on the ground, I realized it was going to be a little bit flat and decided to go ahead and put the entire library on up at least one block of dirt. So I just went straight through the whole area and added dirt down until I had another little plateau. Fortunately, I had a lot of extra dirt, and it was even close by because I had done so much digging to flatten this area. And I know that might seem weird, but sometimes when you're building, you flatten and then you build up because it's calculated. You build up where you want it to be built up. After making really good progress on layout and design, I realized I had a bit of a problem. You see, these dirt boxes, they're kind of going to be in the way of the path. If you saw the last episode, you know that the dirt boxes have special Halloween mobs in them that I was able to get, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I decided maybe while I'm deciding what to do with them in the world, I would go ahead and put them in the area beneath the cathedral because it was pretty open. I've been using that space to mine out stone as I've needed it. Fortunately for me, a recent update now allows Java players to connect leads to boats, which we weren't able to do before. And now I can move these mobs like a pro. Being able to lead the skeleton along, of course, was only half of the battle as it shot at me the entire time, but I got pretty good armor these days, so I was able to take that damage and get the skeleton with its pumpkin head and all the way over to the cathedral. Did I mention the leading of the boats is an excellent, excellent update. Very happy with it. As I walked over to the base of the cathedral to open it up, there were 3 golems. I think they must be trapped. It's like they're making their own iron farm over here, and I have no idea what's going on. So I had to stop and take care of the golems first because I didn't want them to be taking care of the Halloween mobs as I moved them in. I opened up the underground area and remembered I had a couple villagers still over here. This is the space I was using to breed the villagers up when I was putting them on this side of town, and now I don't even have a breeding area. We probably need to do that someplace else, but that's not what I'm doing right now. At this point, I'm just still moving these mobs out of the way. And these villagers, they're just gonna have to share their space with the Halloween mobs. As long as I remembered to keep jumping as I was moving, the boat really came up the cliff really, really easily, and I was able to get the first mob in place. The rest of the skeletons, while continuing to be hostile, went in place just as smoothly as the first one. This was absolutely the easiest time I had ever had so far trying to move mobs for such a distance. With all of the Halloween skeletons in place, it was time to go and get the Halloween zombies, which of course were much easier since they didn't shoot at me while we were moving. With the mobs moved out of my way, it was time to refocus my efforts back on the Grand Library. I knew I wanted a big dome on the back. I knew I wanted a couple of kind of towers on the front, but I actually didn't have a good feel as to the color palette that I wanted to use right away. I spent a little while on Pinterest looking up medieval builds and realized I was looking to build something that was better than traditional medieval. Kind of like the capital city had evolved from medieval to whatever came next. I don't want to get far enough along to be building Renaissance level buildings. So for the design of the library, I'm just gonna kind of make it up. I've put together enough of an outline for at least one of the towers on the building that I have a good feel for what I'm doing. So I've set out the palette that I'm using. So for the top of the building, I'm definitely going with the beautiful teal blocks. You can see I've set the kind of the spectrum out here, and then grays. Now I know that the stone seems basic, but I want it to look like a stone building. In addition, I'm putting some of those tough colors coming up from the bottom, and then here are all the extras, the little bits of things to sprinkle in and give it interest. This actually might be one of my favorite building palettes in the game. It just has so many rich tones and colors to it, but it's still just really basic, right? It looks like a traditional stone building. Anyhow, it's time to fill up my pockets and start getting this whole library put together. I had so much fun doing this library. It was a very satisfying build, and it's fun to see this whole capital city come together. If you've made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing and liking, and thank you so much for being here. I wish you all the best. Minecraft Day.